Welcome back to Cine Recaps. Today, I'm going to walk you through a mind-bending sci-fi thriller released in 2022 called Deus. Spoilers ahead. Watch closely as this story dives into mystery, faith, and survival beyond Earth. In the near future, Earth is slowly collapsing after years of damage caused by humanity, leaving people desperate to escape the planet. One day, a massive black sphere suddenly appears near Mars. In response, 6 astronauts are sent to investigate aboard a spacecraft called Achilles. The journey takes 8 months, during which the crew remains in hibernation. Throughout the trip, Karla repeatedly dreams of her daughter and her mother, both of whom died in a tragic car accident 2 years earlier. When the ship is only 8 hours from the sphere, the crew is awakened. As they stretch and recover, Karla notices Rubin is visibly shaken. Since it's his first time in hibernation, she suggests he rest, but Rubin chooses to blog about the experience for his many followers instead. Karla later meets with Commander Paul to study the sphere. They attempt to scan it, but the ship's AI finds nothing at all. Karla believes the lack of data is a sign they should turn back, but Paul insists on completing the mission. The uncertainty only increases Rubin's anxiety. The crew contacts Vance, the head of the expedition program, who explains that people on Earth are desperately waiting for answers. Turning back would mean disappointing everyone, so the mission must continue. Soon after, Karla begins hearing her mother's voice echoing through the corridors, though no one is there. At the same time, Rubin is jolted awake by disturbing whispers in his room. When Karla reaches her quarters, Vance video calls her, expressing concern over how tense she seems. As she reassures him, the call suddenly cuts off. Moments later, the ship's AI announces the sphere is causing a serious anomaly. Karla rushes to the main deck and sees the sphere firing a blinding beam of light at the ship, disrupting multiple systems. The rest of the crew joins her, and Tez points out that the beam appears to be guiding them rather than attacking. As they move closer, the AI detects a strange sound coming from the sphere. Karla analyzes it and decodes a repeating message, Deus, the Latin word for God. Rubin panics, demanding they turn back before fleeing the room. Karla suggests pausing the approach until communications are restored so they can warn Vance in case the object is hostile, but Paul orders them to continue. Later, the crew finds Rubin crying in the hallway. Still panicked, he claims the light is Judgment Day sent by God, insisting the voices told him so. He begs once again for the mission to be cancelled before leaving. The crew discusses possible explanations. Ulph argues it's their responsibility to uncover the truth, even suggesting they could destroy the object if it's an alien trick. Paul overhears this through the cameras and immediately calls Ulph to the deck, warning him never to suggest blowing things up again. As the ship nears the sphere, both Karla and Rubin begin hearing the voices again. Ulph takes Karla to her room, where she admits she's suffered headaches since the accident, but avoids mentioning the voices. Their conversation is interrupted when Tez reports that Rubin is missing. Despite Ulph's concerns, Karla joins the search. The crew splits up, and Tez checks the cargo bay. Hidden behind containers, she finds Rubin surrounded by glowing lights, carving religious symbols into his skin as he performs a ritual. Horrified, she screams. Karla and Ulph rush to her, but by the time Karla arrives, Tez is dead, her body brutally torn open. Rubin notices Karla watching and grabs her hostage, threatening to kill her when Ulph approaches. In a desperate rant, he claims they are beyond salvation and that landing on the sphere will make them part of God's slaughter. He also insists Paul is hiding the truth and urges Ulph to take control of the ship. At that moment, Paul steps behind Rubin and shoots him without hesitation, killing him instantly. Showing no emotion over the deaths of 2 crew members, Paul calmly orders Ulph to retrieve 2 body bags. After taking Rubin's knife, Karla follows Paul into the elevator and confronts him, asking if he truly knows more than he's saying. Paul denies it and grows irritated, sensing that Karla is considering abandoning the mission. He reminds her sharply that orders must be followed. When they reach her quarters, Karla finally snaps and accuses Paul of acting cold and detached about the deaths of their teammates, but Paul ignores her and walks away. Instead of using body bags, Ulph chooses to place the bodies into their assigned hibernation pods. With only 3 hours remaining before reaching the sphere, the crew detaches the main Achilles structure and continues in a smaller craft to maneuver around the sphere more easily. As they approach, Karla notices a strange structure on the sphere's surface, but can't determine what it is. When the ship lands, communications suddenly come back online, and the crew receives a call from Vance. He explains that 10,000 unidentified structures, similar to the one Karla spotted, have appeared across Earth, though none seem hostile. Vance is convinced the sphere is responsible and urges the crew to uncover the truth as soon as possible. Paul orders Ulph and Karla to investigate outside, but Sean points out that a scientist is needed and volunteers to join them. The three suit up and exit the ship while Paul monitors them through the cameras. The surface of the sphere is completely dark, limiting visibility, and Karla's scanner fails to detect anything. When she touches the ground, she confirms the material doesn't match any known element on Earth. Paul instructs them to examine the structure, and up close they realize it's a gate. Suddenly, a bright light ignites within it, prompting Ulph to fire a flare to illuminate the rest of the structure. They spot a symbol known as an event horizon, representing a boundary beyond which events can no longer affect an observer. Karla describes it as the end of existence and scans the gate, confirming it's made from the same material as the sphere. At that moment, the crew hears a strange sound, something that shouldn't exist in the vacuum of space. Paul informs them that the ship's AI has intercepted a transmission and is relaying it through their communicators. The message contains a single word: welcome. As the light intensifies, a woman appears within the gate. She communicates telepathically, and the AI translates her thoughts, revealing that she claims to speak for the creator of all existence. The creator has come as both a warning and an offer, giving humanity a choice. Those who pass through the gate will find eternal peace, and Karla has been chosen to lead them. Beyond the gate lies an end to all pain and suffering, but those who refuse will die when the sphere reaches Earth and destroys it. Suddenly, the woman transforms into Karla's mother and tells her that someone is waiting for her inside the gate. Shocked, Karla steps into the light and relives the car accident in a flashback before finding herself near a glowing golden city, the wound from the crash still bleeding on her head. She sees her daughter and runs toward her, but before they can reunite, Karla wakes up on a table aboard the ship. After suffering a seizure, Karla vomits and struggles to understand how she got there. Ulph explains that she could barely stand after exiting the gate, so he brought her back to the ship. Sean, however, didn't survive. Their conversation is interrupted by a call from Vance, who demands every detail. Karla describes the Golden City and compares it to Jerusalem, prompting Ulph to quietly call it heaven. Karla avoids mentioning her family, even as Vance presses her with questions and doubts her claim that she saw nothing else. When the call ends, an irritated Paul storms out. Karla then asks Ulph what happened to Sean. Ulph claims Sean's suit ruptured, but Karla doesn't believe him, knowing the suits are made from an unbreakable material. Ulph changes his explanation, saying Sean failed to secure his glove and decompressed, but Karla still doubts it, knowing how experienced Sean was. Growing uneasy, Ulph reminds her that everyone makes mistakes and urges her to rest. Karla wants to return to the sphere, but Ulph informs her the ship is already departing and follows her out. When they reach a hallway without any cameras, Ulph asks Karla what she actually saw inside the gate. Karla finally tells him about seeing her family and admits she no longer trusts Vance or Paul, feeling they're clearly hiding something. A short while later, Ulph returns to the deck, where Paul questions him about what happened while he and Karla were out of camera range. Ulph tells him Karla didn't reveal anything new. Paul grows suspicious and warns Ulph to remember his orders. Once the ship leaves the sphere's orbit, the AI announces the crew should prepare to enter hibernation within an hour. Karla takes Rubin's knife and goes to the pod bay, where she examines Sean's body, paying close attention to his suit. She then uses the knife to force open the lock to Paul's quarters and searches the room for answers. Paul notices her through the security feed and sends Ulph to stop her. Inside Paul's room, Karla finds a gun along with several classified files. When Ulph appears at the door, Karla holds him at gunpoint. After reading the files, she learns Ulph was once an elite corps soldier, known as one of the best. Ulph insists that life is behind him and swears he knows nothing about the sphere. Karla forces Ulph back to the main deck and turns the gun on Paul. Paul warns her this is mutiny and punishable by death, but Karla fires back by revealing Sean was killed by a gunshot. She suspects Ulph, believing his past as a hitman makes him responsible. The tension is broken by a call from Vance, who insists he is not her enemy, and claims his scientists believe Karla truly saw heaven. He plays footage showing crowds on Earth filling the streets, desperate to escape after watching the sphere footage Vance released. Karla is left stunned, and Paul takes advantage of the moment to attack her. After a struggle, Karla manages to shove him away and shoots him in the chest, killing him. She then realizes she was injured during the fight and is bleeding from the stomach. After Vance disconnects, Karla points the gun at Ulph. He admits he did kill Sean but says he has no intention of killing her, explaining that he wants the truth about the sphere and what she experienced. Choosing to trust him, Karla allows Ulph to take her to the infirmary and dress her wound. Once she recovers, Karla admits she wants to return to the sphere, but Vance controls the ship's AI. Ulph reveals he has an override code, though using it would require dropping the heal module since the Achilles is too large to control manually. They would lose their main propulsion, and the journey back to Earth would take over 5 years. Karla begins to lose hope, but Ulph hints that he has another plan. Karla later returns to the deck and contacts Vance, warning him she will destroy the sphere if necessary, believing it's all a lie. Vance responds by unlocking classified files, revealing the element Karla discovered and admitting he was the one who built the sphere. There is no God. He claims he did everything to save 6 billion people and eliminate the remaining 15 because Earth is overpopulated. The gate holds no God, and the sphere was never capable of destroying Earth. It was all designed to create panic and push people toward the gates appearing across the planet. Believing they were entering heaven, they were actually walking to their deaths. Confused, Karla asks how she could hear her family. Vance admits he implanted a chip in her head after the accident, which was also his fault. Everything had been part of his plan to prepare her for the mission. Crying, Karla calls him a monster and recalls a story her mother once told her, that everyone deserves a chance to survive. At that moment, Ulph contacts Karla and tells her he has taken control of the Achilles core. Realizing they plan to destroy the sphere, Vance orders the AI to activate the ship's self-destruct protocol. Warning alarms blare as the AI announces the Achilles will detonate in 3 minutes. Enraged, Karla shoots the hologram projector to cut off Vance's call, then contacts Ulph, who gives her the code to detach the main ship from the massive cargo section. Ulph is trapped inside the elevator, which is moving too slowly for him to reach the main ship in time. He tells Karla to leave without him. She refuses at first, but the self-destruct sequence begins, and explosions erupt throughout the Achilles at once.
Destruct sequence is initiated.
With no other choice, Karla separates the ship and watches in shock as the blasts tear the main structure apart, believing Ulph has been killed. Moments later, Ulph contacts her again, revealing he managed to cross over at the last possible second. Relieved, the two share a drink to celebrate surviving. Ulph explains that since half of the Achilles was lost, detonating the core will now have to be done manually. Karla agrees and says they will finish it together. When the ship lands on the sphere, Ulph suddenly seals the door behind him and tells Karla to return to Earth so she can tell everyone the truth. Karla boards the ship and shares a final goodbye with Ulph, who waits until she is far enough away before triggering the detonation and finally destroying the sphere. Karla now travels alone toward Earth, and the AI informs her the journey will take 7 years.
Officer Gray, go f*** yourself.
Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.